Alright guys, I'll be showing you me doing a level 55 Greater Rift, and I have only 366 Paragon points, so it's still fairly early in the season, but hopefully I will be able to do this without any trouble, and it will go to show you just how powerful the Thorns of the Invoker set is. I'll go over the set and the different skills and what I'm using in the end of the video. Alright.
I wish you luck, hero. Not yet. Not ready yet. Patience. Before the wind. Not ready yet. By all that is holy, you see that enemy over there? Not yet. They should have run when they had the patience. Burn in the light. Not ready yet. Not yet. Patience.
Alright, I'm actually doing pretty fine in the time. And I don't really have to worry too much about stuff because the Crusader is so tanky with this build that you pretty much just tank and spank everything.
Patience. Not yet. Not ready yet.
Alright, so I got myself a speed pile, and that's always a nice thing to get, especially when you run into a dead end. It can help you get up here pretty much faster.
Patience. Not ready yet.
Alright, let me quick show you this. My toughness while I'm in combat is pretty much, you know, incredible. I have 166 million toughness right now, meaning that I'm pretty much impossible to kill. And my damage, however, is only at 300,000 damage, 340,000 damage, which is pretty low, but that doesn't really matter because my damage is all in the toughness and all in the thorns damage I have. So all of this 300,000 damage pretty much doesn't show anything. As you can see when I hit these guys, when I crit them, I crit for like, you saw that was 1 million, perhaps 2 million critical hit damage, which is nothing when you look at how much HP these bastards have. So the critical hits you make look pretty weak, but the damage you actually deal is so much higher than the critical hits. So you don't have to fret about that. Alright, let's just find another big group instead. Don't really want to waste too much time just killing single target mobs. Even though my spells are single target, or at least the one spell I'm using the most, Punish, is single target, most of my damage is the Thorns damage, meaning the more enemies that are hitting me, the more enemies will actually die from it, because the Thorns is area damage with this Thorns of the Invoker set. So even though I don't seem to have a lot of area damage, I actually deal quite a lot of area damage, and most opponents can die just by hitting me without me having to do anything.
Not yet. Patience.
As you can see, I don't really mind standing close to and on this damage and whatever, because my tankiness pretty much allows me to just withstand all of it. So it's actually pretty easy to play this set. All you have to do is pretty much just find a big group and then start hitting them down. It's important you have a lot of attack speed, because as you can see, I'm getting stacks down here. The more I attack, the more stacks I get, and the more stacks I get, the more damage. So it's pretty much all about the attack speed for the Crusader. Instead of getting high level weapons with incredible damage, you have to actually find attack speed. But I'll get more into that when I go over the items I use in just a few seconds.
Not yet.
I've made 2 critical errors in this run actually, that has made me lose a lot of time, so I could actually probably have done this in with half the time remaining instead of this cutting somewhat close, I don't know. And I'll go over that too when I go over the build, just to tell you what I did wrong, and what can definitely work a lot better than this.
Not yet.
Alright, time for the Rift Guardian. I will not be killing this as fast as I could have, but I'll go over that just in a few seconds and tell you why I kill this so slowly compared to what I should be killing it. Alright, there we go. I'll just quickly pick up these items. You never know. It's still early in the season, so I might just get a few items that are better than what I have. This is the gem you definitely want to keep the highest. Whenever you have the chance, upgrade this one. Now I'm upgrading it one more time. Alright, the chance is pretty low now, so I'll just upgrade the Bane of the Trap now. Alright, let's go to town and I'll quickly run over the build and how it works, or how it's supposed to work. Alright, let's first take a quick look at our Canise Cube. What I have here in the Canise Cube is of course the Heart of Iron. I gain 300% of my vitality in Thorns damage. When I have 8,000, that means I get 24,000 Thorns damage from this. I have the Convention of Elements, which deals 200% increased single element damage for 4 seconds. And Thorns damage in this set is physical damage, so physical damage is also what I'm going to be stacking. Otherwise I have the Akaroth Awakening, which gives every single block I have a 25% chance to reduce all cooldowns. So it's not just one cooldown, but all of my cooldowns that are actually getting lowered. Alright, let's take a quick look. I used the pick sticker for the incredible attack speed. It has 1.59 in attack speed, which I think is pretty much the fastest in the game. And as you can see, I use a gem that gives Thorns damage instead of the normal gem that gives critical hit damage. And this is because all of my damage is in the Thorns damage, and Thorns damage cannot crit. So it's very important that you don't waste the gem slot on that. Alright, I use the invoker set, and it's pretty important that you have Thorns damage on all of these, but I think that's pretty much mandatory for them. And otherwise I just stack cooldown reduction, vitality because of the Heart of Iron, and of course all resistance, mobility, and yeah, the tougher that you are, the better actually. You also deal more damage by having more vitality and stuff like that, so pretty good. As you can see, I have life per hit on my helmet instead of crit chance. And again, that's because crit chance does nothing for you, so the life on hit is pretty much just keeping myself up. I use gem here for cooldown reduction, which gives you 12.5% cooldown reduction, and that's pretty much just to be able to spam my spells, which actually can give me quite the advantage and offers me a lot of toughness in the fighting. Besides that, I'm using the Spiker. And actually, this is one of the things that I made a mistake. I'm using currently the Steed Charge instead of using the Provoke. So I could pretty much deal double the damage by Thorns damage, and all of my damage is Thorns. So that's pretty much double damage I could have been dealing instead of the mobility. And it would definitely have made it a bit faster. Otherwise, I'm using the Justice Lantern, which pretty much makes me... It has always some block chance. This one gives 12% block chance. I have reduced cooldown, vitality, and strength on this one too, which is all pretty decent. And also, whenever whatever my block chance is, I gain that half of that in pure damage reduction, which is actually quite a lot, since you can see here my damage, my block chance is 57%, but when I use Punish, it gains another 15%, which gives me a 72% in total, and half of that is you know, like 35 almost. No, 36 actually. 36% damage reduction from this ring alone, which is pretty awesome to say the least. I used, of course, Thorns of the Invoker, and I used the Belt of Trove simply because it calls down bombardment on random opponents. And that's pretty good because the 4-piece bonus gives me 50% damage reduction for 20 seconds after an enemy is hit by bombardment. And this one throws it down every 8 seconds, which means I pretty much have this buff up all the time. So that's another 50% damage reduction. This ring is not part of the set. I'm just using it because I haven't found anything better yet. It has attack speed, vitality, and strength in decent proportions, so that's pretty good. And as you can see, I made another mistake here. This is Boon of the Hoarder, where I should be using Bane of the Stricken in order to get more damage on targets, and especially on the Guardian. But I still managed to do this with plenty of time left, so it's okay. But you should definitely not be using Boon of the Hoarder. Up here, the amulet is not what I actually want, but I haven't found anything better yet. As you can see, it has lightning skill damage, which is pretty useless for me. But it does have reduced ranged damage, which is nice, and high levels of both strength and vitality, which is decent. I kind of want to switch this one and this one for the set that makes when you stand still you deal more damage, and when you move you get damage reduction. So that would be pretty much the best thing. Here I have some physical skill damage, of course, and life on hit instead of getting crit chance. Again, crit chance does nothing for you. And then of course this is the gem you want to keep up, and definitely should not take off at any point. It gives a very high level of Thorns damage, plus it gives you a taunt to your primary skill, which you saw I was pretty much using constantly, just holding that bottom down all the time. So it's definitely a very, very powerful ring. Or a gem, I mean, of course. As the slot for my chest, I use the Achilles Caress, because my Wrath is up at 100 all the time, 100% all the time, which means I get all damage reduced by 50% as a constant. You see, this is actually a pretty bad chest piece because it has no Thorns damage in secondaries, which would be more proficient, but I haven't found anything better yet. But it really doesn't matter if you use this one, Achilles Caress, or Heart of Iron here. Of course, you just need the Heart of Iron to be as close to the 300% as possible. Now I did it this way because I always have 100% primary resource, so this one is worth taking for now at least. Alright, so that's pretty much the items I have equipped for now. Let's quickly go over the skills. Of course, here you should have been using Provoke. I would prefer Cleanse because it gives you a lot of life on hit. And otherwise, here you could probably change Finery. If you don't need the additional strength, you can change that out for, let's see, Divine Fortress, which gives your armor increased percent equal to your shield's block chance. But of course, this also depends on how good a shield you have. This one have 15%, which is not that good at all. So I'm currently using the Finery because I have 10 gems socketed, which means I get 15% additional strength, which increases my armor, of course, but also gives me a lot more damage because the strength increases all damage also from Thorns. So strength is still good to have. But in the equipment, you could change these strength gems out for some additional all resistance if you need the toughness instead. Alright, let's go it over. I have, of course, the Fervor because I'm using a one-handed weapon. It gets a lot of attack speed and a lot of cooldown reduction. The attack speed is good because, as you can see here by the 2-set bonus, my Thorns damage hit all enemy in the radius, so that makes Thorn damage a AoE. And also, every time I hit an opponent with punish or block, I actually gain 25% additional Thorns damage for 2 seconds. And that was the buff you saw here, stacking up to like infinity as long as there are opponents enough hitting you, and you have a high attack speed, which makes you gain those 25% several times over the duration of attacks. Alright, I use of course bombardment to gain this. The important thing about a bombardment is pretty much the rune that gives me 200% off my Thorns damage on every barrel. If this rune was not here, the skill would be pretty useless, because the 2850% total weapon damage is useless. You don't really have weapon damage in this. So, but the Thorns damage is really good, and it actually deals quite a lot of damage. So the belt gives a lot of damage and a lot of toughness, which is nice. Now I'm using Prophet also for the increased toughness and increased damage. It's quite decent. I'd say you should pretty much always use this to get out of sticky situations. I use Bed of Nails. This pretty much makes me, whenever I stand on this ground, as you can see I throw down here, whenever I stand in this circle, I pretty much regenerate life by 32,000 life per second, which is quite a lot. And whatever enemies are standing on it, because I'm using Bed of Nails, they gain 100% of my Thorns damage every second, which actually is quite a lot of damage again. I use a Reflective Shield, which can increase my Thorns damage by 300%, which pretty much means that in these 4 seconds I deal 4 times the damage, which is quite a lot. And of course I use Punish with Celerity, pretty much giving me more attack speed that is good for stacking even more charges of the 2-set bonus. The 6-set bonus gives me an additional Punish attack speed by 50%, and my Punish deal 600% of my Thorns damage to the first enemy hit, which pretty much makes attack speed so much more important. So yes, this is the set and how it works. And thank you for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, and watch me on Twitter as I play even more games. Not only Diablo, I play a lot of different games. Come check me out and have some fun with me. And of course, if you have any comments, feel free to throw them down there. Alright, see you.